How many times have you done this? You decide with a burst of electric motivation that this is the day you finally transform. You declare a grand goal, and for a week, maybe two, you are unstoppable. Then, life whispers. A busy day, a tired morning, one missed session, and that towering goal begins to feel less like a castle and more like a prison. What if everything you think you know about change is backwards? What if true, lasting transformation doesn't come from a seismic event, but from something almost invisible? Today, we let go of the exhausting cycle of overhaul and collapse. We embrace a different force. We go atomic. Now imagine an ice cube sitting in a frozen room. The temperature is 25 degrees. You turn up the heater. 26 degrees, 27, 28. You look at the ice cube, and nothing has changed. This is what we call the plateau of latent potential. You're putting in energy, you're making an effort, but there's no visible result. This is the phase where nearly everyone quits. But you keep going. 32 degrees, 33. Then, at 32 degrees, a single tiny droplet of water forms. The breakthrough moment, the melting, didn't happen at 32 degrees. It happened because of all the energy you put in from 25 to 31. Every degree mattered. Your habits are the heat. Your 1% improvements are each single degree, and the breakthrough is simply the delayed result. You are not failing. You are accumulating. Let's look at the math, the magic math. If you get 1% better each day, you are 1.01 times better. Do that for a year, you become 37 times better. 1.01 to the power of 365 equals 37.78. Now, the chilling reverse. If you get 1% worse each day, you decline to nearly zero. 0.99 to the power of 365 equals 0.03. This is the central truth. We are always moving. We are either compounding growth or compounding decay. There is no neutral. A single workout, one healthy meal, they seem laughable against a massive goal. But you are not trading one day for one goal. You are trading one day for a shift in trajectory. You are voting for the person who becomes 37 times better in a year. This leads us to the great flaw, our obsession with goals. Think about it. You set a goal, lose 20 pounds. You achieve it, then what? The goal is over. It's a momentary change with an expiration date. Now, imagine a different approach. You forget the 20 pounds. Instead, you focus on becoming the type of person who moves every day. You focus on the system, the daily behaviors, not the singular outcome. The goal tells you where you want to go. The system is how you get there and how you stay there. Winners and losers can have the same goal. The difference is in the daily system. Your life today is the sum total of your systems. So your work today is not to change your life. It is to become a scientist of your own life, to observe. I want you to ask yourself one question. Where is one area, just one, where I can be 1% better tomorrow? Don't plan a revolution. Don't overhaul your diet. Could you drink one more glass of water? Could you read just one page? Find your 1 degree. That's all. That is your entire task. Remember, you don't need a revolution. You just need consistent redirection. Small steps are not a compromise. They are the only strategy that compounds.
Let me ask you a question that reveals everything. Two people are offered a cigarette. The first person says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." The second person says, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." Because the first person is engaged in a constant battle of willpower against an identity they still cling to. The second person has ended the war. They have crossed a line in their mind. Yesterday, we talked about systems over goals. Today, we go deeper. We talk about the engine that drives the system. We talk about the most powerful force in behavior change, your identity. To understand this, we need to see change as having three distinct layers. The first, outermost layer is your outcomes. This is what you get: the weight lost, the book published, the money saved. The second, middle layer, is your processes. These are the habits and systems you do, your workout schedule, your writing routine, your budget. But beneath these, at the very core, is the third layer, your identity. This is who you believe you are, your worldview, your self-image, your deepest beliefs and assumptions. Think of it like a tree. Your identity is the root system, invisible but foundational. Your processes are the trunk and branches, the structure of your daily life. Your outcomes are merely the leaves and fruit, the visible, temporary results that the world sees. Most people focus only on the leaves. They try to pick different fruit without ever tending to the roots, and they wonder why the change never lasts.
So what is identity, really? At its simplest, your identity is literally what you repeatedly do. It is not a single grand proclamation you make once. It is the evidence you collect about yourself through hundreds of tiny actions. The philosopher Aristotle hinted at it. We are what we repeatedly do. Modern neuroscience proves it. Every time you act, you are not just doing a thing. You are casting a vote for the type of person you believe yourself to be. You go for a run, that's a vote for, I am someone who values my health. You choose a salad, another vote. You sit down to write for 10 minutes, a vote for, I am a creative person. The opposite is also devastatingly true. You hit the snooze button, a vote for, I am not a morning person. You scroll social media instead of working, a vote for, I am easily distracted. You are in a perpetual election, and the candidate you are voting for is you. The winner of this election isn't decided by one dramatic, heroic vote. It's decided by the consistency of the tiny, almost invisible ones.
This leads us to the most practical method in this entire journey, the two-step identity shift. This is how you change who you are at the root. Step 1. You must decide the type of person you want to be. Not the outcome you want, but the identity. Be incredibly specific. Move from a vague, I want to be healthy, to a clear, present tense statement. I am someone who values energy and vitality. Shift from I want to write a book to I am someone who communicates ideas clearly and consistently. Step 2. You must prove it to yourself with small wins. You must provide your new identity with evidence. The identity, I am a runner, is not proven by running a marathon on day 1. It is proven by lacing up your shoes and going for a 5-minute jog when you don't feel like it. That small win is irrefutable evidence to your brain. It is a vote counted. And with enough votes, the election results change. The story you tell yourself about yourself shifts from I'm trying to be a runner to the undeniable evidence-based truth. I am a runner.
Let's make this real. Meet someone we'll call Alex. Alex's problem is procrastination. His outcome goal is finish this big project. His old identity is I am someone who struggles with deadlines, who always does things at the last minute. He tries to attack the outcome with sheer willpower. It's a brutal, guilt-ridden struggle. Now, Alex applies the identity shift. Step 1. He decides on a new identity. He says, I am someone who finishes what they start. I am a completer. Step 2. He needs evidence. So he doesn't stare at the massive project, he finds the smallest possible completable task. He says, I will draft one email for the project. That's it. He does it. And in that moment, he has evidence. He cast a vote for completer. The next day, he finds another tiny task and completes it. Another vote. After a week of these tiny completions, his brain starts to collect the data. The evidence is mounting. When he sits down to work, the internal question subtly changes from the daunting, "How do I finish this huge thing?" to the more identity-aligned, "What would a completer do next?" The action is the same, but the psychology behind it is completely transformed. He is no longer acting against his identity, he is acting in accordance with it. The friction disappears. Your task today is to conduct an identity audit. This is more powerful than yesterday's atomic audit. First, grab a piece of paper or open a note on your phone. I want you to write down one area where you feel stuck. Now, I want you to write down the identity you might be holding on to in that area. Be brutally honest. Is it, "I'm bad with money, I'm not a natural athlete, I'm disorganized"? Now, draw a line under it. This is the past. Below that line, I want you to write your new, deliberate identity. Use the formula, "I am someone who." Make it positive, present tense, and rooted in a value, not just an outcome. For example, not "I am thin," but "I am someone who nourishes my body with respect." Not "I am successful," but "I am someone who delivers on my promises." This is your new blueprint. This statement is now your compass. For the rest of today, your only job is to look for one single tiny opportunity to cast a vote for that new identity. One piece of evidence. That's how a new you is built. Not in a dramatic rebirth, but in a quiet election. One small vote at a time. Once you have this new identity in mind, a critical question arises. How do you make acting on it effortless? How do you design your world so that good habits are the most obvious, natural thing to do? Because willpower is a finite resource, but your environment is a constant. It works for you or against you 24 hours a day. Tomorrow, we stop fighting against a resistant world. We learn to engineer it. We dive into the first law of behavior change, make it obvious. We will learn the art of designing cues you cannot ignore and a method called habit stacking that builds new rituals seamlessly onto your existing life. Your new identity deserves a world built to support it. Tomorrow, we begin that construction. Let me ask you a question that will expose a hidden force in your life. What did you do when you first woke up this morning, before you even thought about it? What about when you got into your car or sat down at your desk? If you're like most people, you followed a script you didn't even know you had written, a silent, automatic routine triggered by invisible cues in your environment. This is the reality of human behavior. You are not just a product of your decisions, you are a product of your design. And right now, your environment is likely designed for your old habits, your old identity. Yesterday, you declared who you want to become. Today, we remove the guesswork. We make that new identity not just an intention, but an inevitability. We explore the first law of behavior change, make it obvious. This is the art and science of engineering a world where your best choices are the easiest ones to make. Every habit, good or bad, begins with the same moment, a cue. A piece of information that predicts a reward. Your phone buzzes, that's a cue. The clock strikes noon, that's a cue. You feel a pang of boredom, that's a cue. These cues trigger a craving, which leads to a response which delivers a reward. This is the habit loop. For years, perhaps decades, your brain has been a relentless detective, associating cues with rewards and automating the process. The problem is, this detective works for both your aspirations and your procrastinations. The cue of your couch triggers the craving for relaxation, which leads to the response of turning on the TV. The cue of your messy kitchen counter triggers the craving for simplicity, which leads to the response of ordering takeout instead of cooking. You cannot stop your brain's brilliant detective work, but you can become the chief of police. You can decide which clues get highlighted and which ones get buried. You can design the cues for the habits you want and dismantle the cues for the habits you wish to leave behind. This is not about willpower, it is about wits. So, how do you start this redesign? You must first see what you cannot currently see. You must bring your unconscious scripts into the light of consciousness. The most powerful tool for this is deceptively simple: the habit scorecard. Here is what you do. Get a piece of paper. Throughout an ordinary day, your task is not to change anything, but to simply notice and write down every single habit you perform from morning until night. And I mean everything. Wake up, hit snooze, get out of bed, walk to bathroom, look in mirror, brush teeth with left hand, check phone, scroll through notifications, make coffee, sit at desk. Do not judge them as good or bad in the moment, just list them. The act of writing them down, of pointing and calling out your own behavior, is a seismic shift in awareness. You will be shocked by what you discover. You'll find hidden patterns, tiny rituals you never acknowledged. You'll see the exact chain of cues that leads you to distraction or to productivity. This list is the blueprint of your current design. You cannot change a design you cannot see. The habit scorecard gives you the vision. With this new awareness, we now employ the master technique for making habits obvious: implementation intention. This is a fancy term for a simple formula that ties your new habit to a specific time and location. The formula is: I will behavior at time in location. For example, I will meditate for 1 minute at 7 a.m. at my kitchen table. This is good, but we can make it ironclad. We can make it obvious by stacking it onto something that is already obvious. We use a method called habit stacking. Here is the habit stacking formula. After current habit, I will new habit. You are not relying on motivation or memory. You are piggybacking on the rock-solid reliability of your existing routines. Your existing habit is the cue. After I pour my morning coffee, I will write down my top 3 priorities for the day. After I sit down to eat lunch, I will take 3 deep breaths. After I close my laptop at the end of the workday, I will immediately put on my walking shoes. You are designing a domino effect of good decisions. One obvious habitual action triggers the next. You are building a ladder of cues that leads you directly to your new identity, one rung at a time. Now, we take this from powerful to nearly foolproof. We move beyond time-based cues to physical ones. We redesign your environment. Your environment is the silent architect of your behavior. Every object in your space is a cue, shouting a suggestion. A bowl of fruit on the counter shouts, "Eat healthy." A guitar on a stand in the living room shouts, "Practice." Your television remote on the couch shouts, "Relax and watch." Your phone next to your bed shouts, "Scroll before sleep." Your mission is to become the curator of these cues. Make the cues of good habits obvious, visible, and in your path. Want to read more? Place a book on your pillow in the morning so you see it at night. Want to paint? Leave your paints and brushes on the table, not tucked in a closet. Want to drink more water? Fill 3 glass bottles in the morning and line them up on your desk. Conversely, make the cues of bad habits invisible. Unplug the television and put the remote in a drawer. Move your social media apps off your home screen and into a folder named Time Wasters. Unsubscribe from tempting promotional emails. You think you are making choices all day, but you are largely responding to the field of cues you've laid out. Design the field so the right response is the only natural one. To take this even further, we adopt a principle used by the most focused minds: one space, one use. Your brain loves associations. If you work from bed, your brain associates your bed with alertness and stress, harming your sleep. If you watch movies at your desk, your brain associates your desk with distraction, harming your work. The rule is simple. Divide your spaces by function. Your bed is for sleep and intimacy only. Your desk is for deep, focused work only. Your kitchen table is for eating and conversation only. Your couch is for relaxation and reading only. When you do this, you create what scientists call context-dependent memory. Just sitting down at your desk cues your brain for focus. Lying down in bed cues your brain for sleep. You are not fighting to get into a mindset. You have engineered an environment that automatically triggers it. The space itself becomes the obvious cue for the behavior you desire. Your work today is hands-on. It is a design challenge. I want you to choose one habit from the new identity you crafted yesterday. Now, you will engineer 3 levels of obviousness for it. Level 1, create an implementation intention. Write down, I will, your tiny habit, at specific time, in specific place. Level 2, create a habit stack. Ask, what is a reliable habit I already do that can immediately precede this new one? Write the formula. After I, current habit, I will, new habit. Level 3, design the environmental cue. What one physical object can you move, add, or change in your space to make starting this habit effortless? Place that object now. Do not put it off. This 3-part engineering project takes 10 minutes, but it does something profound. It moves your habit from the fuzzy realm of I should into the concrete world of when and where I will. You are not just hoping for change. You are building a runway for it.
Once a habit is obvious, once the cue is staring you in the face, a new question emerges. What if you still don't feel like doing it? What if the cue is clear, but the motivation is absent? This is where we move from the external world to the internal world, from architecture to allure. Because the most powerful behaviors are not just obvious, they are attractive. They pull you toward them with a sense of anticipation and craving. Tomorrow, we unlock the second law, make it attractive. We will dive into the neuroscience of craving and learn a method called temptation bundling, which allows you to link something you need to do with something you love to do. You will learn how to make your good habits not just easy, but genuinely desirable. The journey continues. So, you've engineered your environment. The cues are in place, the path is clear, and yet you stand at the starting line, and you just don't feel like taking the first step. The cue is obvious, but the pull is absent. Why? Because there's a missing ingredient, a secret force that turns action from a chore into a magnetic pull. It's the force that makes scrolling social media feel irresistible and exercising feel like a drag. It's not about laziness, it's about attractiveness. Yesterday, we made habits obvious. Today, we make them irresistible. We enter the realm of the second law of behavior change, make it attractive. This is where we learn the neuroscience of craving and how to hack it, not to be controlled by cheap dopamine, but to harness its power to pull you toward your best self.
To understand attractiveness, we must understand craving. And to understand craving, we must meet its chemical architect, dopamine. For decades, we called dopamine the pleasure chemical. We were wrong. Dopamine is not about pleasure. It is about anticipation. It is the molecule of desire. It is released not when you experience the reward, but when you anticipate it. Think of the ping of a text message. The pleasure isn't in reading a mundane okay. The spike of dopamine, the craving, happens in that moment before you check, buzzing with potential. Your brain is not rewarding you for getting a reward, it's rewarding you for seeking it. This is the habit loop's superpower. The cue doesn't just trigger an action, it triggers a dopamine-driven anticipation of the reward to come. The smell of coffee, cue, triggers a craving, dopamine spike, for the alertness, reward, which makes brewing it, response, feel attractive. The problem is your brain applies this same elegant mechanism to everything. The red notification bubble, cue, triggers a craving, dopamine, for novel information, reward, making the scroll, response, feel automatic and attractive. The key, then, is not to fight dopamine, but to recruit it. We do this by bundling the anticipation of something you want to do with an action you need to do. This is called temptation bundling, and it is one of the most powerful practical tools you will ever learn. The formula is simple. Link an action you should do, a habit you need, with an action you want to do, a habit you crave. You are not just doing two things at once, you are using the dopamine from the want to pull you through the should. The classic example: only allow yourself to listen to your favorite gripping podcast, your audiobook, while you are exercising. Suddenly, the treadmill isn't just about burning calories, it's your ticket to the next chapter of the story. The craving for the story pulls you onto the treadmill. Only scroll through your favorite social media or entertainment app after you've completed your 10 minutes of evening planning. Only enjoy your fancy artisan coffee while you are doing your morning deep work session. Only watch your favorite streaming show while you are folding laundry or meal prepping. You are designing a Pavlovian response in your own favor. The habit you need becomes the gatekeeper to the dopamine hit you want. It transforms obligation into opportunity. But what about habits that don't have an obvious, enjoyable pairing? This is where we go deeper, into the stories you tell yourself. Attractiveness is not just an external pairing, it's an internal narrative. Every action comes with a feeling before you do it. You can frame that feeling. For example, instead of thinking, "I have to run 3 miles," you can reframe it. "This is my time to clear my head and listen to my favorite music. This is my chance to build endurance and feel powerful." Instead of "I need to cook a healthy dinner," try "This is my creative time to nourish my body with vibrant, colorful food." You are not lying to yourself. You are highlighting a true, positive aspect that your brain, in its lazier moments, overlooks. This is a motivation ritual. Before you engage in a difficult habit, take 60 seconds to consciously list 3 genuine benefits of completing it. Not the long-term outcomes, but the immediate positive feelings. "After this work session, I will feel clarity and relief. After this meditation, I will feel calm and centered." You are priming the pump of dopamine by consciously directing your focus to the rewarding sensations to come. You are making the habit attractive by changing its preview. Now we must confront the dark side of this law, because if you don't design attractiveness for your good habits, the modern world will design irresistible attractiveness for your bad ones. We are surrounded by what behavioral scientists call supernormal stimuli. These are exaggerated versions of natural rewards that hijack our dopamine systems. A potato chip, engineered with the perfect salt-fat-carb ratio, is a supernormal stimulus compared to a plain potato. An endless, algorithmically driven social media feed is a supernormal stimulus compared to simple social connection. A video game with constant variable rewards is a supernormal stimulus compared to the slow, gradual progress of real-world skill building. These things are not evil, but they are engineered to be hyper-attractive, making normal, healthy habits, like eating whole fruit, reading a book, or practicing a real instrument, seem bland in comparison. Awareness is your first defense. You cannot compete with billion-dollar algorithms on their terms, so you change the game. You use the very strategies we've discussed, temptation bundling and reframing, to inject doses of supernormal attractiveness into your productive habits. You make the healthy smoothie taste incredible. You make your workspace beautiful and inviting. You add an element of gamification or a desirable reward to your deep work. You fight engineered fire with intentionally designed fire. Your mission today is to conduct an attractiveness audit. This is a 2-part operation. Part 1, investigative. First, investigation. For the next 24 hours, pay acute attention to what you crave. When do you feel that automatic magnetic pull? Is it to your phone? To a specific snack? To checking the news? Don't judge it, just note it. Write down the cue and the anticipated reward. This map shows you where your dopamine is currently being directed. Second, design. Choose one habit from your new identity that feels neutral or resistant. Now, design 3 layers of attractiveness for it. Layer 1, temptation bundling. What enjoyable thing can you only do during or immediately after this habit? Schedule that pairing now. Layer 2, reframing. Write down 2 true positive sentences you will say to yourself before starting the habit, focusing on the immediate feeling. Layer 3, environment enhancement. Can you make the context of the habit more attractive? A better pen for journaling, a beautiful playlist for cleaning, a special tea for your reading time. You are not just building habits, you are building a lifestyle you are drawn to. You are making your future self not just a disciplined soldier, but a welcomed guest. Once you've made a habit obvious and attractive, you have created powerful pull. But there is still one final barrier that stops most people: the initial friction, the sheer effort of starting. What if you could make the first step so laughably easy that you couldn't say no? What if the habit required almost no energy to begin? This is the gateway to true consistency. Tomorrow, we master the third law: make it easy. We will explore the science of friction, introduce the revolutionary 2-minute rule that defeats procrastination at its source, and learn how to engineer our lives for sheer effortlessness. The journey from resistance to flow continues. Let's name the invisible enemy. It's the space between intention and action. You've set the perfect cue. You've even made the habit feel attractive. You sit there, fully intending to begin, and a heavy, intangible blanket of resistance settles over you. It's not laziness, it's physics. Before any object can move, including you, it must overcome static friction. That initial energy required to go from 0 to 1 is always the greatest. Your brain, the brilliant energy conservation machine that it is, performs a lightning-fast subconscious calculation. Is the perceived effort of starting worth the anticipated reward? Too often, the friction tips the scales. The running shoes are upstairs. The journal is in another room. The guitar is in its case. The case is in the closet, and the closet door is sticky. Each microstep is a point of friction, and their sum total is a wall. Today, we become engineers not of motivation, but of motion. We learn to grease the tracks. We embrace the elegantly simple third law of behavior change: make it easy. This is about reducing the energy required to start so dramatically that action becomes the default, the path of least resistance. We move from fighting inertia to leveraging it. To master this law, we must view our behavior through the lens of physics and cognitive economics. Human action obeys the law of least effort. When presented with multiple options to achieve a similar reward, we will instinctively gravitate toward the one that requires the smallest amount of immediate work. This isn't a moral failing, it's a survival algorithm. Our ancestors couldn't afford to waste precious calories on unnecessarily complicated tasks. Your modern brain still runs this software. Therefore, the habits that dominate your life are simply the ones that are easiest to do in your current environment. Every single habit has an activation energy, the mental, physical, and temporal effort required to initiate it. Making a habit easy is the process of lowering its activation energy to near zero. Conversely, breaking a bad habit is about ruthlessly increasing its activation energy. Let's make this concrete. Good habit, lowering friction. You want to take a daily vitamin. High friction method, the bottle is in the back of a crowded kitchen cabinet. You have to open the cabinet, move items, unscrew the child-proof lid, get water. Solution, buy a weekly pill organizer. Fill it on Sunday, place it directly next to your coffee maker or toothbrush. The activation energy plummets from a 7-step process to 1-step process. Pick up pill, swallow. Bad habit, increasing friction. You mindlessly scroll on your phone before bed. High friction environment, the phone charges on your nightstand. Solution, buy a standard alarm clock. Charge your phone in another room inside a drawer. Now, to scroll, you must get out of bed, walk to another room, open a drawer. You have added layers of friction, giving your conscious mind time to intercept the automatic impulse. You are not relying on willpower. You are redesigning the choice architecture so that the better choice is the easier choice. The 2-minute rule is your foundation of unbreakable consistency. Once this ritual is automatic, you are lacing your shoes or opening your notebook every single day without internal debate, you enter the phase of optimization. This is where we apply the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen, continuous incremental improvement. The aim is not to leap from a 2-minute walk to a 1-hour run. That reintroduces catastrophic friction. The aim is habit shaping, a process of gradual, almost imperceptible stretching. Week 1 to 2, habit equals put on shoes and step outside, 2 minutes. Week 3 to 4, habit equals walk to the end of the street and back, 5 minutes. Week 5 to 6, habit equals alternate 60 seconds of walking with 60 seconds of jogging, 10 minutes. You are always operating just outside your comfort zone, but never in your panic zone. You are looking for the minimal effective dose, the smallest amount of effort that still produces a feeling of slight progress and satisfaction. This approach doesn't trigger your brain's resistance or fear of failure circuits. It convinces your subconscious that growth is safe, manageable, and sustainable. It turns the habit from a daunting performance into a gentle, upward trajectory. Making it easy transcends the moment of action. It's about strategic preparation, priming your environment to make future action effortless. This is about making decisions for your future self when your willpower and clarity are high. Your future self will be tired, distracted, and low on discipline. Be a good friend to that future self. For morning exercise, before bed, lay out your full workout clothes, socks included. Place your shoes by the door. Fill your water bottle and put it in the fridge. Have your headphones and pre-selected podcast ready on the charger. For healthy eating, after groceries, immediately wash, chop, and portion vegetables into clear glass containers. Cook a batch of quinoa or grilled chicken. Place these at eye level in the fridge. Put unhealthy snacks in a high, opaque container in the pantry. For deep work, at the end of your workday, close all irrelevant tabs and applications. Open the single document or project file you need for tomorrow's first task. Leave it on the screen with the cursor blinking. Place a notepad and pen beside your keyboard. This practice is what athletes and CEOs call the aggregation of marginal gains. By systematically eliminating a dozen points of friction, you don't just make a task a little easier, you transform the entire experience from a struggle into a flow. Your environment becomes a silent ally, actively guiding you toward your goals. Your work today is a deep, 2-part engineering sprint. Part 1, the comprehensive friction audit. Choose your keystone habit, the one that would positively influence many areas of your life. Take a fresh sheet of paper. Draw a line down the middle. On the left, deconstruct the habit from intention to completion. List every single micro-step. 1. Decide to do it. 2. Get up from chair. 3. Walk to closet, etc. Be ruthlessly granular. On the right, for each step, brainstorm one way to eliminate, combine, or simplify it. Can you prepare the night before? Can you move an item permanently? Can you reduce a 4-step process to 1 step with a small purchase or new tool? Now, do the same for your most persistent bad habit, but your goal on the right is to add friction. Can you add physical distance, add a step, require a tool you don't have handy? Pause for 3 seconds. Part 2. You now have a system. Cues are obvious, the habits are attractive, the initiation is easy, but a chain can still break at its final link. What ensures the habit doesn't just happen once, but repeats, solidifies, and becomes part of you? What closes the loop and tells your brain, that was good, do it again tomorrow? It is the feeling of satisfaction, the immediate reward. Without it, even easy habits can feel empty and fade. Tomorrow, we complete the cycle with the vital fourth law: make it satisfying. We will explore the cardinal rule of behavior: what is rewarded is repeated, and learn how to build instant positive reinforcement into the very fabric of your long-term growth. The final piece of the puzzle awaits. We have built a powerful sequence. The cue is obvious, the craving is attractive, the response is easy. But here is the ultimate question, the final gatekeeper between a single action and a lifelong habit. Will you do it again tomorrow? The answer lies not in logic, but in a feeling. It is captured in one of the most fundamental laws of all human and animal behavior. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. This is about hacking the reward system of your own mind, transforming the end of a good habit from a neutral checkpoint into a moment of genuine reinforcement, ensuring the behavior not only happens, but eagerly repeats. To understand why satisfaction is non-negotiable, we must confront our evolutionary inheritance. For 99.9% of human history, our ancestors lived in an immediate return environment. Your actions had immediate life or death consequences. You felt hunger, pain, you foraged and ate, immediate reward. You felt cold, discomfort, you built a fire or found shelter, immediate reward. The brain evolved to powerfully link actions with outcomes that followed within seconds or minutes. But we now live in a delayed return environment. We go to the gym, effort, and the reward, better health, a better body, is months away. We save money, sacrifice, for a retirement decades away. Our modern goals are noble, but they violate our brain's ancient operating system. The costs are immediate, the benefits are distant. This mismatch is why willpower so often fails. It's you, with your modern cortex, fighting against millions of years of evolutionary programming that screams, if it doesn't pay off now, it's not worth it. The solution is not to fight this programming, but to trick it. We must attach an immediate, visceral sense of satisfaction to behaviors that have a delayed payoff. We must close the loop for our primal brain so our higher self can reap the long-term rewards. The single most effective tool for generating immediate satisfaction is the habit tracker. This is deceptively simple but psychologically profound. The habit tracker can be a calendar on your wall, an app on your phone, or a column in your journal. The rule is simple. Immediately after you complete your habit, you make a visible mark. You put a big X on the date. You color in a square. You check a box. This act is a ritual of completion. It transforms an intangible effort into a tangible visual record. Each X is a vote for your new identity. But more importantly, each X delivers a small hit of satisfaction. You get to see your progress compound visually. A string of X's creates a chain, and soon you experience the powerful "don't break the chain" motivation. The satisfaction is no longer just in the habit itself, which might still be difficult, but in the act of marking the tracker, in maintaining your perfect record, in seeing the physical evidence of your consistency. It makes the abstract concrete. It turns patience into a gain you can win every single day. The tracker itself becomes a reward. Beyond the tracker, we must consciously engineer a moment of positive reinforcement immediately following the habit. This is where we directly address the primal brain's need for a payoff. The reinforcement must be immediate and something you genuinely enjoy. After a workout, instead of rushing to the shower, take 60 seconds to stand tall, feel your heart pumping, and consciously acknowledge, I did that. I am strong. Then enjoy a delicious cold smoothie. After a deep work session, stand up, stretch, and say out loud, that was focused and valuable. Then enjoy a perfect cup of coffee in your favorite mug. After sticking to your budget for the week, transfer the money you saved into a special freedom fund and take a moment to visualize what it will provide. The key is to pair the completion of the effort with a short, positive sensory or emotional experience. You are Pavlov's dog, training yourself. The bell, completing the habit, must be followed immediately by the meat, a genuine small pleasure. Over time, your brain will begin to anticipate that satisfying feeling at the end of the habit, which subtly makes the whole process more attractive from the start. Just as we can weaponize immediate rewards for good habits, we can weaponize immediate costs to dismantle bad ones. Remember the cardinal rule: what is immediately punished is avoided. Most bad habits offer immediate pleasure, the cigarette, the junk food, the procrastination scroll, with delayed costs, bad health, low energy, wasted time. Our job is to flip that script. We need to attach an immediate cost to the behavior. This is where an accountability pact becomes powerful. Tell a friend you'll give them $100 if you miss your workout. The immediate cost of losing money and face now outweighs the immediate pleasure of skipping. Use an app that donates money to a cause you hate every time you indulge in the habit. The immediate negative feeling of funding something you despise stings more than the fleeting pleasure. For procrastination, use a tool like a website blocker that not only blocks sites, but sends an embarrassing report to a colleague or mentor if you try to access them too often. You are making the consequence of the bad habit visceral and immediate, thereby aligning your primal brain's aversion to pain with your higher goals. Perfection is a myth. You will miss a day. The power of your habits is not determined by the miss, but by what happens the very next day. This is critical. When you break a streak, there is a dangerous psychological phenomenon called the what the hell effect. You miss one workout. You think, what the hell, I've broken my streak, I've failed, today is ruined. This all-or-nothing thinking then gives you permission to miss the next day, and the next, until the habit is dead. To defeat this, you must adopt the never miss twice rule. One miss is an accident. 2 misses is the start of a new bad habit. When you miss, your only goal, your singular focus, is to get back on track immediately at the very next opportunity. Do not try to make up for it with a double session. Just get the chain started again. The habit tracker is merciful here. A calendar with one empty square surrounded by X's is a powerful visual reminder of your overall consistency and your quick recovery. It proves you are resilient, not fragile. The satisfaction comes from the quick rebound, from honoring the never miss twice rule, which builds a deeper, more resilient identity than a perfect but brittle streak ever could. Your mission today is to design a satisfaction protocol for your keystone habit. This is a 3-part plan. Part 1, the tracker. Choose your tracking method, physical or digital. Create it now. For today's habit completion, make your first mark with ceremony. Part 2, the immediate reward. Brainstorm a list of 3 to 5 small, healthy, enjoyable things you can do or experience within 60 seconds of completing your habit. It could be a special tea, a favorite song, a few moments of sunshine, a feeling of pride. Choose one and commit to implementing it every time. Part 3, the never miss twice pact. Write down on paper, I accept that I may miss a day. If I do, I solemnly promise to myself that I will not miss twice. My primary goal is continuity, not perfection. Sign it. This protocol closes the loop. It takes your habit from a task to be completed to a system that feels rewarding and self-sustaining. You are teaching your brain to not just tolerate this new behavior, but to genuinely like it. You now possess the complete toolkit for building any good habit. The 4 laws are a cycle.
Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. But what about the other side of the coin? What about the habits that hold you back, the ones you need to break? The beautiful logic of this system is that it is fully invertible. Every law for building a good habit contains the seed of its opposite for breaking a bad one. If satisfaction reinforces, what reinforces avoidance? If obvious cues trigger action, how do you hide them? Tomorrow, we flip the script. We apply the inverse of the 4 laws to strategically dismantle the habits that no longer serve you. We move from construction to careful demolition. The inversion awaits.
We have spent 6 days building. We have assembled the 4 laws like a master blueprint for creating positive change. But what about the other force at work in your life? The one that dismantles progress invisibly, often in the same moments you're trying to build. A bad habit is not neutral. It is not merely the absence of a good one. It is an active, aggressive force. It functions like a parasite or a weed in the garden of your potential. Here is its hidden, brutal mathematics. A bad habit costs you twice. First, it directly creates a negative outcome: wasted time, compromised health, depleted finances. Second, and more insidiously, it actively undoes the progress of your good habits. That hour of mindless scrolling erases the focus from your deep work session. That unhealthy meal diminishes the energy boost from your workout. It's a double tax on your future self. Today, we shift from defense to offense. We stop merely trying to resist and start strategically dismantling. We take the complete, powerful framework of the 4 laws and we perform a precise surgical inversion. This is the masterclass on breaking bad habits. The beautiful, symmetrical logic of this system is that every law for creating a good habit contains within it the exact principle for eliminating a bad one. We simply reverse the sequence. To break a bad habit, you must 1. Make it invisible. 2. Make it unattractive. 3. Make it difficult. 4. Make it unsatisfying. Let's define each inverse law. Make it invisible. The first law of building is to make the cue obvious. The first law of breaking is to remove the cue entirely. If you don't see it, the habit loop cannot initiate. Make it unattractive. The second law of building is to highlight the benefits. The inverse is to consciously highlight the true costs. Reframe the habit in your mind, not as a source of pleasure, but as the source of your anxiety, poor health, or lost opportunities. Make it difficult. The third law of building is to reduce friction. The inverse is to increase friction dramatically. Add as many steps, obstacles, and points of effort between you and the bad habit as possible. Make it unsatisfying. The fourth law of building is to add an immediate reward. The inverse is to add an immediate cost. Create a consequence so unpleasant or tangible that it outweighs the fleeting pleasure. This inverted 4-step framework is your strategic playbook. You are not fighting a vague feeling of temptation. You are executing a precise 4-pronged siege on the habit's very structure. Before you can apply this inversion, you must move from a vague sense of "I do this too much" to a clinical understanding of the habit's anatomy. This requires a targeted diagnosis I call habit excavation. You will need a notebook for this. Step 1. The specific scorecard. Don't just note "I was on my phone." Use the habit scorecard method, but exclusively for the bad habit. For 3 days, each time you catch yourself doing it, write down the exact time, your precise location, what you were doing just before, and what you were feeling in that moment. The data is gold. It will reveal your unique, personal cue pattern. Step 2. Craving identification. Now ask the critical question: what craving is this habit actually satisfying? The action is almost never the true goal. Scrolling social media is rarely about information, it's about escaping boredom, seeking connection, or numbing anxiety. Snacking at night isn't about hunger, it's about comfort, stress relief, or procrastination. You must name the underlying need. Step 3. The underlying need. Finally, ask what is a healthy alternative way to meet this exact same need. If the need is stress relief, could it be 3 minutes of deep breathing? If it's connection, could it be sending a thoughtful text to a friend? If it's mental escape, could it be reading a novel for 5 minutes? You are diagnosing not to blame, but to understand. You cannot replace a habit you do not comprehend.
This leads to the most important principle in habit breaking. You cannot simply eliminate a habit. You must replace it. Nature abhors a vacuum, and your brain abhors an unmet craving. If you remove a bad habit without providing a new routine to address the underlying cue and craving, the craving will intensify until it bursts through your willpower, often leading to a binge. The goal is habit substitution. You use the same cue, you provide a similar reward that satisfies the same underlying craving, but you choose a better, healthier routine in between. Let's take the ubiquitous example, the after-dinner social media scroll. Cue, finishing dinner, sitting on the couch with phone nearby, feeling a slight restlessness. Craving, mental relaxation, a small reward, distraction from the day's mental residue. Old routine, open apps, scroll indefinitely. New substituted routine, when you feel the cue, restlessness on the couch, you pick up your phone, open a meditation app like Calm or Headspace, and do a single 3-minute guided breathing exercise. Or you open your podcast app and listen to one 10-minute episode of an entertaining show while you wash the dishes. Explain the logic. The cue is the same. The reward, mental shift, mild entertainment, distraction, is similar. But the new routine is constructive, time-bound, and leaves you feeling better, not worse. You are not fighting the impulse, you are redirecting its energy. Start by substituting for just the first 2 minutes of the old habit. Master the redirect, and the old path begins to grow over. This entire inversion strategy culminates in a philosophy that renders sheer willpower almost obsolete: brilliant environment design. Trying to resist a visible cue with willpower is like trying to swim upstream against a strong current. It is exhausting and ultimately futile. The genius move is to redirect the river. You make one-time decisions that alter your environment permanently, so you never have to make the hard choice in a moment of weakness again. To break the phone in bedroom habit, buy a standalone alarm clock with $15. Tonight, charge your phone in the kitchen. This single one-time action eliminates the cue of the glowing screen in your dark room and makes the bad habit of midnight scrolling physically difficult. To break the unhealthy snacking habit, after your next grocery trip, immediately wash and chop fruits and vegetables. Place them in clear containers at eye level in the fridge. Place any processed snacks in a high cabinet, in an opaque container behind other items. You have made the good habit obvious and easy, and the bad habit invisible and difficult, all through one act of preparation. To break the procrastination habit, install a website blocker like Cold Turkey or Freedom that runs on a schedule. Set it to block social media and news sites during your work hours. This is a one-time decision that creates a literal technological barrier, increasing friction to the point of impossibility. You are not using willpower to resist the site, you are using foresight to make accessing it a chore. By applying this inverted framework, you move from being a victim of your habits to being an architect of your behavior. You understand that both creation and elimination are part of the same system of design. But what happens when you have built good habits and eliminated bad ones, and progress just stops? You're doing everything right, yet the scale doesn't move, the skill doesn't improve, the results plateau. This is not failure. This is the signal that you have graduated from the basics to the advanced game. Tomorrow, we tackle the final frontier of sustainable growth: what to do when progress stalls.
We will explore the valley of disappointment, the Goldilocks rule for sustained motivation, and how to build a lifelong practice of refinement so you can continue evolving long after the initial excitement fades. The journey toward mastery is about persistence, not just initiation. So, you've done the work, the cues are clear, the systems are in place, the good habits are woven into your days, and the bad ones have been strategically dismantled. You are consistent. And yet, you look at the results, and the explosive early progress has slowed to a crawl. The weight loss has stalled, the business growth has plateaued, the skill improvement feels infinitesimal. A quiet, insidious voice whispers, "Is this it? Is this all there is?" This is the critical juncture. This is the moment where most journeys end, not with a dramatic failure, but with a slow, disappointed fade. What you are experiencing is not failure. It is physics. It is the valley of disappointment, the inevitable gap between your expectations for linear progress and the reality of compounding growth, which works silently underground before it becomes visible. Today, we move beyond the mechanics of building habits to the philosophy of sustaining growth. This is about playing the long game when the initial excitement has faded. This is about what lies beyond the plateau. To navigate a plateau, you must first diagnose its type. Not all plateaus are created equal. They are different phases of the mastery journey, each requiring a distinct strategy. Let's identify them. First, the learning plateau. Conscious incompetence. This is the initial frustrating climb. You are acquiring the basic components. Every practice session is awkward, full of conscious effort and frequent error. The strategy here is process-focused persistence. Your goal is not excellence, but exposure. Celebrate simply showing up and engaging with the fundamentals. The habit is the victory. Second, the integration plateau. Conscious competence. You have the skills, but executing them smoothly requires full attention. You can do it, but it's not effortless. This plateau feels like grinding repetition. The strategy shifts to deliberate practice. You must identify the specific, weakest component of your performance and isolate it. The pianist practices the tricky measure on repeat. The writer drills dialogue separate from description. You are no longer just doing the habit, you are deconstructing and strengthening its subcomponents. Third, the mastery plateau, unconscious competence. This is the most deceptive plateau. The habit is now automatic, easy, mindless. You can do it on autopilot. And that is precisely the problem. Automaticity is the enemy of advancement. When a habit becomes completely thoughtless, you stop paying the attention required to improve. The strategy here is conscious recomplication. You must disrupt the automated pattern to force new learning. The runner changes their route and terrain. The chef attempts a new foreign cuisine. You must reintroduce elements of conscious incompetence to spark the next growth cycle. Knowing which plateau you're on tells you whether to push, to refine, or to break apart and rebuild.
Progress is not sustained by the same fuel that starts the engine. Initial motivation is a spark. Sustained motivation requires a sustainable fire. This is governed by the Goldilocks rule, which states, humans experience peak motivation and engagement when working on tasks that are right on the edge of their current abilities. Not too hard, not too easy, just right. A task that is too easy leads to boredom. A task that is too hard leads to anxiety. The sweet spot, what psychologists call the flow channel, is the zone of optimal challenge. Your work then is to become a perpetual curator of just right difficulty. This requires a weekly or monthly difficulty audit. Ask, does this habit or practice session feel boringly easy? If yes, you must add a challenge. Increase the weight by 5%. Shorten the writing time by 10 minutes. Learn a new, more complex chord progression. Does it feel overwhelmingly difficult and anxiety-producing? You must reduce the scope. Return to the 2-minute rule for a reset. Scale back to the previous manageable level. The goal is to live in that gentle stretch, that productive discomfort.
This is how you turn the long, flat plateau into a steady upward incline so gradual you barely feel the climb, yet so consistent it leads to altitudes you never thought possible. Your habits are not monuments to be built and then left untouched. They are living systems that must evolve as you do. What served your beginner self will inevitably become friction for your intermediate self. To avoid this stagnation, you must institutionalize reflection. I recommend a quarterly evolution protocol. Every 3 months, block 1 hour for a habit review. Take out your tracker, your journal, your goals. Ask 3 ruthless questions. 1. What worked? Which habits delivered the most disproportionate results? Which brought the most joy or energy? Double down on these. 2. What didn't? Which habits felt like constant friction, guilt, or obligation? Did they fail because of poor design, or did they serve a purpose that is now complete? Give yourself permission to quit a good habit that has outlived its usefulness to make space for a great one. 3. What feels like friction now? This is the most important question. Where does your current system feel slow, annoying, or misaligned with the person you are becoming? This friction point is your compass, pointing you toward your next necessary adaptation. This ritual is how you move from being a follower of a rigid system to being the architect of your own evolving masterpiece.
This brings us to the ultimate shift in perspective. For most of this journey, we have used goals as directional markers. But to play beyond the plateau, you must graduate from a finite game to an infinite game. A finite game is played to win, lose 20 pounds, write a book. An infinite game is played for the sake of continuing to play, to perpetuate the joy of the practice itself. Your habits are not just a means to an end. They are the ongoing expression of your identity in real time. They are your legacy on installments. The writer who has published 10 books is not someone who won 10 finite games. They are someone whose identity is I am a writer, and the books are merely artifacts left in the wake of that persistent truth. Therefore, the most powerful question you can ask yourself at any moment of decision, especially on a plateau, is not what do I want to achieve, but what would the person I am committed to becoming do right now? Would that person skip the workout, or would they understand that today's maintenance is fuel for tomorrow's breakthrough? Would that person choose distraction, or would they choose a single focused action that reaffirms their core identity? This question transcends motivation. It connects you to a trajectory, not just a target. And so, we arrive here, at the end of our beginning. Let us reconnect the path we've walked. We started with the atomic secret, the monumental power of tiny 1% changes. We then excavated the bedrock of all change, your identity, learning that every action is a vote for the person you wish to become. We built the framework. We made cues obvious, cravings attractive, responses easy, and rewards satisfying. We then flipped the script, learning to invert those laws to dismantle what holds us back. And now we stand here understanding the plateau not as a wall, but as the necessary fertile ground for the next season of growth. You are no longer waiting for motivation. You are no longer fighting your environment. You are no longer a passenger in your own life. You now hold the operating manual. This series is a toolkit, a philosophy, a lens through which to view every aspiration and every obstacle. The final step is integration. Let this not be an ending, but an initiation. Re-listen. Let these concepts seep from your conscious understanding into your unconscious practice. The task now is not to learn, but to embody. Small steps, monumental shifts. The path is yours. Walk it.